Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 176. Andrew Eisen here. So, let me tell you, let me regale you with the tale of me trying to go see Birds of Prey today. 'Twas quite the adventure. No, it's not. But if you know me, if you've known me for a long time, think back, way back into the distant past. Back to December of 2019, when Star Wars came out, Star Wars Episode 9. Uh, I am real cheap, so I only go to matinees on the weekend, because that's when it's cheapest. Will I ever review the Trailer Park Boys series from Netflix? Never heard of it, so probably not. I don't know. Give me a quick what is that, and I'll let you know if it sounds interesting. Anyway, so I wanted to go see Star Wars, but AMC has started doing this thing where Star Wars was like $1.50 more expensive. I'm like, I'm not paying a premium just to see Star Wars, so I saw it a couple weeks later. Or no, actually, I went to a different theater. So that appeared to not just be a Star Wars thing, because Birds of Prey was also a $1.50 or so premium. And I don't want to pay extra money to see a movie, because I'm cheap, you see. So I looked at what theaters are around me, and most of them are AMC, but there was another one, so I went to that one, because it was cheaper. So I go to the theater to see Birds of Prey, which, if you saw my 5 movies from coming in 2020 that I want to see right bloody now, that was one of them. So I go to the theater, buy my ticket, go on into the theater, big theater, like 350, 400 seats. I sit my butt down in the chair, and I go, ooh, goodness gracious me. This is perhaps the most uncomfortable chair I have ever placed my bottom in. That's not hyperbole. This is quite possibly the most uncomfortable theater chair I have ever sat in. I'll look at that in a sec, Colin. It's like a metal frame just wrapped in fabric. It's like they just upholstered a metal frame without putting actual padding in it. And the armrests, I'm playing with my armrests here, but you can't see them because they're below the camera frame, were these hard plastic armrests that have a space for a pad in them, but the pad has no padding in it, so it's this plastic bowl, and you're leaning your arm on it, so you have these 2 sharp plastic edges poking you in the forearm. So that's 4 plastic edges, because I've got 2 forearms. So I've got a metal bar in my coccyx, a metal bar in my lower back, a metal bar against my upper back, and jabby jabbies by sharp plastic in 4 places thanks to the farms. So even though this was assigned seating, I was like 40 minutes early. The theater was empty, so I thought I'll just scooch over and hopefully I'll just move. Nope. I of course did not try all 300, 400 chairs. I tried about a dozen of them in different rows. It was every single chair I sat in. I don't know if it's a super old theater and they've just never reupholstered or repaired any of the chairs, or if I'm that unlucky. But I did something I've never done before. I got my money back. I refunded my money and I left because I knew I would not be able to sit in that chair for 2+ hours. I think the movie's actually under 2 hours, but plus the 20, 30 minutes of trailers would have been over 2 hours. I couldn't sit in that chair for more than a minute. That's how uncomfortable it was. So I go up to concessions or customer service, And I'm trying to think of a polite way to word this, but I can't. And I say I couch my request for a refund as with as politely as possible, saying literally I don't know how to word this any more politely than your theater chairs are the most uncomfortable chairs I have ever sat in. I can't sit in them and watch a movie. I need my money back. Now I've actually refunded my money for movies that were you know where the framing was off, where it wasn't projected correctly. I've done that before, but man, I holy crap. I've never sat in seats that uncomfortable before. So I went to a different theater and saw Birds of Prey, and it was good. And I'll tell you all about it, but let me read Colin's comment here. Trailer Park Boys was a Canadian TV show about three trailer park boys. Makes sense. Very vulgar and satirical content will follow Jillian, Bubbles, and Ricky do stupid things and get high and drunk. Is it a cartoon? Or is it live action? So, Birds of Prey. Friends. Oh, it's live action? Um, doesn't sound like it's for me, honestly. People who get drunk and high and do stupid things. That sounds like something that would just annoy me. Um, as an example, I don't care for the Jackass movies. I think that was a TV show too. Because I also don't like reality television. I don't like watching stupid people. That's not for me. So not so probably not going to review that one. Doesn't sound like it's for me. But Birds of Prey was for me. Anyway, I was saying we live in a time where both Marvel and DC are making really good superhero films, or broadly comic book movies. Hello, Chaos. What a lovely time to be alive. You know, ignoring all of the monstrously horrible stuff in the world. The superhero movies are pretty good. And there's a lot of good junk food to eat. You know, I had a what was called a kitchen sink cookie the other day. Someone at work bought cookies from the store, and they were called kitchen sink cookies, and they were just cookies that had a bunch of different things in them, like pretzel sticks and graham cracker bits and chocolate chips, and it was good. It's really good. I like junk food. Chaos is waiting on Bill and Ted 3. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how that turns out. Um, but so junk food and comic book movies. So there are some good things in the world right now, and it's genuinely lovely to see both Marvel and DC make good comic book movies. Because DC, in my very humble opinion, didn't start out on the right foot. Um, Man of Steel was very meh to me. I mean, there was some enjoyable stuff in it. Like I sat through it without like being bored or actively annoyed, but I didn't think it was a good movie. I enjoyed some of the explosions and crashing through buildings and stuff, but I didn't think the movie was good. Then Batman v Superman came out and it looked like garbage, so I didn't see it. Then Justice League came out and it looked like garbage, so I didn't see it. Then Suicide Squad came out and it looked like garbage, so I didn't see it. Then Wonder Woman came out and looked okay, so I went to see it. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't like it as much as many, unfortunately. A lot of people think Wonder Woman's really, really great. I don't. I think it's just pretty good. Oh well. Then Aquaman came out, and I thought it looked fun, and I saw it, and I thought it was a blast. Really liked it. I thought Shazam was great, and Birds of Prey is just really wonderful. I really, really like it. One thing that stands out to me about Birds of Prey is there's not an overabundance of CG superhero stuff. You know, there's no big CG monster. There's no big swirling vortex opening in the sky, other than the the canary cry which you see in the trailer. That's about it for in-your-face bombastic special effects. The rest, all the action in the movie is CG supported, sure, but mostly practical stunt work, fights and car chases and stuff. It's it's really great. Uh, it One of the another way it succeeds is great characters. These are characters that, speaking personally, of course, um, I'm just as happy watching the characters just sit in a taco shop and chat with each other as I am watching them wander around beat up bad guys. They're just, you know, characters you like, and that's one of the things that really works for the Marvel movies is most of the characters you're just like, I just want to hang out with these people. I love it when different characters from the different movies come together and just talk to each other. It's great. Oh, the fighting's cool too, but same thing here. I really like the characters. Wish Huntress was in it more. Uh, she doesn't feel short shrifted or anything, but she's not in it as much as the others, and that's a shame because her character is hilarious. Um, Chaos says shouldn't be so hard to make a good Superman movie. Just make him like he is in the comics. That is why people like him. I think there's. I think mopey, broody Superman is like a valid choice. It just doesn't wasn't done well. I mean that's a difficult choice because it is kind of antithetical to the character, at least how most of us think of him. Um, yeah, I, I think making a Superman movie is actually hard. It's kind of like Hercules, because Superman is overpowered. So a lot of times, Superman, Hercules characters like that are so damn powerful that what the storytellers end up doing is just debuffing the main character to make it look like they're even trying. But the point of Superman is not that he's super strong, but that he's super good. He's the best that we can be. And it's not so much. And the most interesting Superman stories are the ones in which he can't punch his way to a solution. You know? It's like you have to give Superman a challenge where the point of the story is like, wow, I can punch a hole in the fabric of time itself. I can crack the moon in half by flicking my finger. But all the power in the universe, which I have, by the way, is not going to help me solve X problem. And that's where it gets really interesting. Unfortunately, Man of Steel was not very good. But, you know, it wasn't not very good. I don't think simply the way they chose to characterize the character was the. I don't know why they wanted to do it that way, but I don't think that in and of itself was the problem. I just don't think it was a very good movie. But Birds of Prey is. Birds of Prey is great. Now, I did not see Suicide Squad. I have no idea if Harley Quinn in this movie is so radically different from how she was in Suicide Squad that it's going to irritate what people liked about Margot Robbie's Robbie or Roby portrayal of the character in the first place. I don't know. I came into it fresh. I again didn't see Suicide Squad, so I really liked it. All of the characters are great, and do I think the movie's flawless? No, no. I have some nitpicks, not particularly important ones, but I do have them. Am I going to harp on them? Yes, because that's fun. So there are a couple of editing mistakes in the movie, like two that I caught. One is just a dumb continuity error. Uh, Is it a spoiler to say? One person is holding something that they weren't holding before, and then they're not holding it in the next shot. Not a big deal, just something I noticed. Um, the other one I forget what it is, but the movie is narrated by Harley Quinn herself, and it's told a little bit out of order. And I'd have to see the movie again because maybe I'm just mistaken something. But there was one thing that I caught. I'm like, well, wait, that chronologically doesn't line up unless I'm messing something up. But I sat there thinking, unreliable narrator, whatever. So those two things. There is one scene in the movie where uh, Black Mask, the bad guy, does something very bad guyish, but it feels weird in the movie, you know? And I don't want to spoil it. Um, he does something very mean and very bad to an innocent person. And he does that several times throughout the movie, but this particular scene just sticks out like a sore thumb to me. It's a weird choice. I mean, I was thinking, why did they do this scene, and why did they do it this way? And I hope I'm not being frustratingly vague here. I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's not really important to the plot. So, Black Mask owns a club, and he's irritated because he's a whiny, insecure dipstick, and he's does isn't getting what he wants. And there's like four people over at a table having dinner, and Erica, who's one of the women sitting over there, not a character you know, just a regular of the club that he happens to know, starts laughing at someone made a joke. He's like, "Is she laughing at me?" And so he goes over there. What's so funny? You know, kind of like the whole Joe Pesci, "You think I'm a clown here to amuse you?" That kind of scene. Um, he's like, "Something funny?" She goes, "Yeah, you should hear this thing." He's like, "Are you laughing at me?" And she's like, "Uh." And then he proceeds to. He tells her to get up on the table and dance for him, and then he tells the other guy to cut her dress off with a knife, and it's super uncomfortable. And it's like the movie itself just kind of stops and goes, "Oh, dude, what are you doing? Just oh, this I mean, you're a bad guy who cuts off people's faces. We've established that, but this just kind of feels icky. Why are we doing this?" Even the soundtrack stopped. I mean, there's no record scratch or anything, but it's like the movie's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is weird and uncomfortable, and it stands out. I'd actually love to uh, have a chat with, not on a sit someone down and talk to them. I'd honestly be very interested in hearing Kathy Yen, I think was the director of this movie, what her thinking was behind this particular scene. If they thought they needed to make Black Mask an even badder bad guy so that his comeuppance would work better. I don't know. No, I'm not saying Kathy Ann, the director, is a bad person, or this scene destroys the movie, or it was ill-advised. It just, to me at least, felt kind of tonally discordant with the rest of the film. You know, it just felt uncomfortable and weird. And it goes on for a little long, and it doesn't really resolve. It just stops after a while. It's I'm just not sure about that scene. Um, other than that, let's see. Harley only has one hyena and not two, but the hyena effect is good, so we'll let it slide. She better get another hyena, 'cause she has two. um, yeah, that's the fighting is mostly really well done. I say mostly because some of the editing is a little faster than I would like, but then again, all of the actors are not stunt people. They're actors who learned fight, who were trained to do this, and they acquit themselves very well. They it's pretty well done, but some of the editing in some places can be not choppy, just a little fast. Most of the shooting is fine, like the camera's pulled back enough that you can see stuff, but some of the editing it just gets a little quick for my taste. Other than that, movie's great. So great movie, really really liked it. Great characters, soundtrack and score is great. Um, I hope to see more. Wouldn't mind another Birds of Prey movie. Wouldn't mind seeing uh, Renee Montoya become the Question at some point. Um, yeah, I would love to see these characters again. Pair them up with others, bring them all back together, whatever. Very enjoyable movie. I quite liked it. And there is a post credits something that is kind of funny. So yay. Oh, and it has a fully animated opening, which is great because animation's cool. So that's cool. And for anyone who's wondering, yes, this is in continuity with Suicide Squad. Chaos says, I just wish the Birds of Prey looked like their comic counterparts. They do. I mean, unless you're looking for a specific costume, Black Canary has. Well, I mean, all the characters have so many different costumes that I don't know what you mean by not really. They look like. I mean, except Cassandra Cain's pretty different from the Cassie Cain I'm familiar with in the comics. I mean, she's young, so there's that, but they seem to be doing the character a little bit different than at least the version I'm familiar with. But Harley Quinn's Harley Quinn. I mean that's Harley Quinn. She's got different colored pigtails. She's got pale skin. Although in the comic, or at least in the original Batman animated series, it was makeup, not she got dumped in toxic chemicals. But again, this is in continuity with Suicide Squad. Canary's a singer. She has a canary cry. She has fishnet tights in one of her costumes. Um, Another great thing is the costumes, though, with the exception of Huntress, who you only see towards the end of the movie. Uh, it takes place over several days, so all the characters change their clothes, so they're not wearing the same outfits all the time. Renee Montoya, it doesn't really have a superhero costume; she just wears clothes, you know. Um, Canary has the fishnets and the lounge, not lounge, cocktail waitress kind of get up, and she has like two of those that she has in the movie. But other than that, like when she's on stage, there are also a big birds of prey coming together thing where they have, especially Canary and Huntress have versions of comic costumes. Uh, But Huntress's out, at least in my opinion, Huntress's outfit, that stupid purple thing that she's always wearing, not the mask, but she's that wouldn't translate to live action very well. But there are elements of it in the color scheme and the patterns that make it into the live action design, so I like that. Harley's outfits are hilarious; those are a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, I can't say I agree that they don't look like their comic counterparts unless you really want a specific outfit from the comic faithfully represented on screen, which Depends on which outfit and depends on what context. So, uh, but overall, still a great movie. Really liked it. So, let's see. What else? So I played some new video games this week. I played a game called Framed, and its sequel, Framed 2. Um, if you've played Goro Goa, which is a kind of a four-panel comic where you move the panels around to manipulate the images to make them do stuff, which is really hard to explain. It's one of those games that you have to see to get an idea of how it works. If that one was just too mind trippy for you, but you liked the idea behind it, Framed might be more for you. Uh, Basically, it's a multi-panel comic screen, and you shuffle the panels around to allow the your thief to get from one end of the area to the other. So uh, it's another one that's hard to describe without. Oh, pardon me. Hard to describe without showing footage of it. Um, Chaos says I haven't had time to play much of anything of the last month. Yeah, neither have I. I've been This is the first weekend in 2 or 3 weeks that I've actually had to myself. So I've just been, playing some games and seeing movies. Been having a good old time. Framed is really good. I quite like it. It's really short. Each game is like an hour long, unless you get really stuck on one of the puzzles or something. Um, but it's got some really great animation. Um, I do wish the storytelling were a little bit more clear. I mean, you can. Then again, maybe clear is not the right word. Uh, in depth, I wish there was something more going on with the story just because the characters are so fun to watch animate. They have so much personality in their animation. I ended up wishing there was more of a story for them. But the gameplay is fun. Uh, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. So let's move on to the next game. I also played the Sexy Brutale, which is it's another puzzle game. It reminded me a lot of Breath of the Wild in that the main character moves just a bit too slow, which was like the major problem I had with Breath of the Wild. Link is slow. Maybe he's not slow, he's just not as fast as I feel he should be. And so it goes with the main character of the Sexy Brutale. So how this game works is you remember Majora's Mask? How a bunch of people running around during a 3-day cycle, and you kept resetting the 3 days, and you'd learn all everyone's patterns and positions over the 3 days, and then you'd keep resetting time to help solve their problems. That's kind of how the Sexy Brutale works. You're on a time loop, and everyone moves around it, and at some point during the day, someone or someone's gets killed. So you have to wander around this casino resort hotel kind of place and figure out where everyone is, what they're doing, and when and how they get killed. And then you have to keep rewinding time so that you can figure out how to prevent them from dying. Really cool concept. I love how it's presented aesthetically, but the main character moves just a skosh too slow for my taste. It's when I'm like, okay, I'm in this room and I need to get 3 rooms over here, and I push the control stick and my character trots off. I'm like, why isn't there a run button? Just go a little faster. And I don't know if maybe that would break um, it would be too easy if your character could move faster, but I think there'd be a way to at least adjust the time with the character speed, because golly, the character just moves a bit too slow. It's a little frustrating. Uh, Also, the game is it can drag a little bit because I've only done 2 full stages, And it looks like there's only like 6 in the game or something. I'm sure they build on complexity. And I like how the complexity has built so far. I think that's really clever and really, really cool. But you start out just kind of wandering around blind until you find someone, and then you just kind of follow them around and see what they're doing. And a lot of times they just stand there for several in-game hours. Each hour is about a minute. So it can be a little grindy and dull just wandering around finding people and then following them around each day just so you can get an idea of where everyone is and when. But the biggest problem for me, I think, is I don't know who any of these characters are or why I give a poop about saving them other than, well, it's a nice thing to do. I think the game would work better if maybe it started out with, oh no, these characters that you know and like just died. Now we have to insert ourselves into the situation and keep rewinding time until we can figure out a way to save them. But it just kind of puts you in a situation you have to figure out who dies and where and when and how to prevent it. But again, I don't know who they are, so I don't really care about them. And so far, the solutions have been bonehead simple. Um, the first one, which is the tutorial, is guy gets shot. You find one item. It's a blank round. Okay, so find the gun and put the blank round in it. Oh, he doesn't die now. Okay. The second one is there's two people. Okay. Don't know who they are or why I care, but one of them, like at the end of the night, gets eaten by a spider, and the other guy, if he dies, I never saw it. But he's sitting at a poker table or something. He's gambling, and the solution is turn on the video camera in the room where the lady's getting eaten by a spider and project that image onto a screen in front of the guy gambling so he sees what's happening to his lady friend and goes and saves her. That actually sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. Um, so far, the solutions have been like two-step solution. There's like two things you have to do. The bulk of it is just wandering around until you stumble across the thing you can interact with that does the thing. Hopefully, there's like 4 more levels left, at least if the inventory or pause screen is any indication. So hopefully it gets a little bit more complex, but I'm generally enjoying it so far. It is cute. It just character moves a little slow, and I wish I knew who the people I'm saving were, so I cared a little bit more about them. I mean, it's like doing a Sudoku puzzle or something, you know? It's fun. It's something to do. But I can't say I'm like really invested in it because it's just a puzzle. And that's kind of the Sexy Brutale. It's it's a puzzle where you have to spend most of your time wandering around looking for the pieces. You know? It's like a Sudoku puzzle where you start with a blank page and you have to wander around your house looking for the pieces of the puzzle to stick on the page like a stamp before you can do the puzzle. You know? It's a little weird, but yeah, overall I'm liking it okay. So the last game I've been playing recently is The Return of Obra Dinn, which was, I think it came out 2 years ago, and I've been really wanting to play this for quite some time because it looked really cool, and I started playing it today, and it is very cool. If you've not heard of this game, you are an insurance adjuster, I think, in like the 19th century, and the Obra Dinn is a big boat or ship or one of the two. There's a difference, and I don't know what it is. So a ship comes into port and it's empty, except for some corpses. but it's been missing for like a long time, and it just suddenly rolls on into port, floats on into port. And so you're the insurance guy who has to figure out what happened to the 60 some crew members. Uh, and how you do that is with a magic compass that shows you how people died. So you have your passenger manifest, which is a list of it's the names of everyone on the ship and their job and their country of origin. So job being captain, first mate, doctor, cook, that kind of thing. Um, so you find a corpse and you pull out your magic compass and you see the last moments when they died. Um, so like you hear so the last moments of some guy of some corpse, you hear a little scene, a little vignette play out. It's like bang bang bang, open up, captain, we know y'are in there, y'are sea people, we're on a ship, y'are. They're not pirates, but and we're gonna come in there and get you. And the captain yells, "Over my dead body!" And you hear a door splinter and a gunshot go off, and you see that okay, the corpse I'm looking at was just shot in the face. So you're like, okay, so this guy, I have no idea who he is, but he was shot in the face, and he was killed by the captain. And you look at the captain's log and you're like, oh, the captain's name is William Smith or whatever. And so later you see a corpse and the captain is sitting by the person who died and he's like, Annabelle, uh, your your brother was like a son to me or something like that. And you're like, oh, okay. So you look at the manifest and you're like, hey, there's an Annabelle Walcott. Is there anyone else named Walcott? Oh, yeah, that's the first mate. So her brother, being the other Walcott, would have been the first mate. So I know who that is. And you go through the game like that, figuring out who everyone is, how they died, and who or what killed them. And by what, I mean sometimes like, rigging could come loose and fall on them, or they could be shooting cannons at something and the cannon like falls over because the ship is bouncing and shoots them in the face, or there's a fire and someone gets burned. It's really great, because not only do you figure out who all these people are, you learn about what happened on the voyage of the Obra Dinn, and it's, to me at least, darkly humorous. It's hilarious how the voyage of the Obra Dinn was just the worst. They had the worst luck on this damn thing. I mean, the first thing you learn is apparently there was some kind of mutiny because these guys are trying to kick in the captain's door and the captain has to shoot them. It's like, okay, well, there was a mutiny at one point. And then you find out that one guy was shot because he apparently murdered somebody. And then there was a huge storm, and there might have been sea monsters too. They had no damn luck on this voyage. It was just the more I play through this game, I find out what happened to all these poor people. I'm like, oh my god, these people just had the worst damn time. Um, so yeah, it's a really fun game, and I'm quite enjoying it. Chaos says, don't know if you've addressed this in the last few weeks, but what do you think of the rumor that the PlayStation 5 may play PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games along with PS4? Uh, that would be great. Is there anyone on Earth who would say, I don't want backwards compatibility? I've not addressed that, but they've tried to do at least some form of backwards compatibility with all of them. Although as the architecture change, it does get difficult in some cases. Um, I think with some of them, they just like literally put the PlayStation 1 chipset in there, and probably difficult to do with a PlayStation 5 to put full PS1, 2, 3, and 4 chipsets on them. But if they find a way to get uh, PlayStation 5 to be fully backwards compatible, that's great. I mean, they can skip one because there's absolutely nothing worth playing on the PS1 because the PS1 was garbage, but PS2 and on is yeah. Uh, Chaos says actually there are people who think backwards compatibility is bad. Yeah, but they're like people who claim the Earth is flat. They're lying. They just say that because they're really uninteresting people and know that that's the only way they can get people to pay attention to them is if they say dumb things that aren't true. Oh, backwards compatibility. But now, seriously though, I imagine the argument would be focusing on backwards, like it's a zero sum kind of thing. Focusing on backwards compatibility hamstrings the console's ability to achieve its full potential. Is where I would imagine most of those arguments stem from. As in, if they weren't worried about backwards compatibility, they could make the PlayStation 5 an even better next gen console. And that's possibly true. But just as a feature, it's great. If only for a game archival purpose. I mean, if successive consoles can continually play previous media, then we run less. It's less of a problem with some games just being lost forever, which does happen because a lot of games. Same with movies. They are lost forever because there's nothing that can play them, and the original elements are gone now. Games are a little bit different in that what they're printed on, discs or cartridges, last a bit longer than something like film. But all the cartridges or discs in the world don't do you any good if you don't have anything that can actually play it. Um, so so I think it's great if they can make the consoles backwards compatible. Although my guess is it's probably going to be more of an emulation than the actual original chipset, but I don't know. And Chaos points out that it's great from a convenience standpoint, only needing one system hooked up instead of five. That's true. Now, granted, I rarely ever go back and play old generation games. I actually do have, I'm gesturing down here where you can't see, but I do have my Super NES, N64, and Atari hooked up. I do have a PlayStation, Super NES in my sock drawer. That's not a sock drawer. It's a Nintendo drawer because there are no socks in it. The drawer with my socks in it is my sock drawer. Um, but yeah, I mean that's great. I've I've seen some headlines for rumors regarding the Xbox Series X and the oh, that was one I saw. I think Microsoft was saying something like, you know what? PlayStation and Nintendo are not our competition. Our competition is actually Amazon and Google or Facebook or something like that. And I didn't read the full article, I just read the headline. So I'm going to assume that the headline was accurate and someone at Microsoft actually said that. That reminds me of the same dumb thing that Nintendo always says about how, oh, we don't actually compete with PlayStation and Microsoft. They just do their own thing and we do our thing. Bullpucky. You are competing with Sony and Microsoft, and yes, Microsoft, you are still competing with Sony and Nintendo. I don't know why any of the companies do that. Because it's wrong, and everyone listening to it knows you're either phenomenally stupid, which you're not, we know you're not, or being disingenuous. Also not a good look. You know? So I don't know. Oh, they're not our competition. Yes they are. Yes they are. Don't don't BS us like that. There's no reason to do that. I mean, you could say, you know what, we're doing something totally different. So we're not just competing with our contemporaries, Sony and Nintendo, but we're also competing with the likes of Amazon and Google and stuff because I don't know what the justification. I don't know why they're competing with Amazon. Is the Xbox Series X selling stuff? I don't know. I didn't read the article because I read the headline and my eyes went ugh. so um so I tried to do a review haiku for the Birds of Prey movie, and I actually recorded it, and I hated it, so I'm not doing that. I may do one eventually if I think of something better, but the one I wrote didn't really work. Essentially, what I was saying was, hey, isn't it cool that we live in a time where Marvel and DC are both making really fun comic book movies? And yes, yes, it is. It's nice to have good things. So, so whatever superhero and comic book movies we got coming up, we've got Black Widow, which I'm sure will be fine. Um, Taskmaster will be fun, but I can't say the movie's like really calling to me. I'm definitely gonna go see it, but David Harbour looks fun. But they've never really done enough with the Black Widow character for me to be like, ooh, Black Widow the movie. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be just fine, possibly even great. But so far, I'll go see it anyway. Let's see what else. Wonder Woman 84. Really looking forward to seeing what they do with this. Trailer looks fun. I really want to see how they're doing Cheetah. Um, why Steve Trevor's alive. Looks fun. New Mutants. I'm just really genuinely curious about this one. I really like the horror vibe I'm getting off of that because it's kind of different. So I'm quite I'm more interested in seeing that one than I am Black Widow and Wonder Woman and the Eternals, which we haven't seen any trailers for. So it's just the next Marvel movie. Yeah, okay, I'll see it. Definitely interested in the Disney Plus stuff like WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Uh, those should be fun. What else we got? I think saw a trailer for was it Bloodshot? Not Bloodshot. Deadshot? No. Vin Diesel's in it. What the hell is it? It's Bloodshot, isn't it? Um, I have no interest in seeing that. That looks dumb. Um, also Mobius. That looks crap. Maybe they'll be good. I don't know. I mean, if they come out and people are like, "Oh, holy crap, they're really good." Oh, well, okay, but mm, are those both Sony or maybe it is Bloodshot? Okay. I didn't see Venom either. It looked terrible. I heard a lot of people liked it, but I was getting a sense of people were liking it because it was just kind of bad. But they're making a sequel, so and I hear Sam Raimi's in talks to do Doctor Strange too, so that's neat. Sam Raimi's a good director, makes some good stuff. What else? That's mostly all Marvel. What's DC doing? What did they? Oh, Wonder Woman's DC. So what else did they have? Uh, the hell's DC working on? I have no idea. Hey, I watched the rest of DC Superhero Girls on Netflix, and it's super good. Um, is it aimed at small children? Yes. Did I watch it anyway? Yes. Did I like it? Yes. Um, hopefully Bruce Campbell will get a cameo in Doctor Strange too. That'd be cool. DC Superhero Girls is not the one that first came out in like 2015, 2016. The new one that came out last year, or might have been 2018. The old one is crap. It was dull and soulless and lacking in personality. From the characterizations to the designs, everything about it was just bad. At least from the little I saw of it. I didn't give it much more than like 2 or 3 episodes. Um, but DC Superhero Girls, I love the design. The characters are a little. The designs are very caricature, so the out of proportion body types or the like the thin characters are like stick thin. Like I, a couple of them look like taffy, you know. But they have so much personality, and it's so damn funny. The show, nearly every episode has something that makes me genuinely laugh out loud. I recommend checking it out on Netflix. I thought it was really good. It's got a very Looney Tunes vibe in its sense of humor and comedic timing that I really enjoy. Starting to lose my voice. What else? I actually went through everything I wanted to talk about today. So, how are you doing, chat? Anything you want to know or talk about? Know my opinion on? I mean, I'm sorry I didn't have anything real big to say about PS5 and backwards compatibility. I'm for it. You know what? I can draw a parallel. Um, I think the Switch would be a better console if it was not hamstrung by the fact that it needs to be a portable. But a lot of people, I don't have numbers, but I would go out on a limb and say most people value portability enough that the trade-off is worth it. I think it's it I don't think, I know that the potential as far as like, graphical output capability of the Switch is hamstrung by the fact that it needs to be portable. Um, I personally care absolutely nothing for portability because if I'm playing a game, I'm going to be right there on that really comfy couch. I'm not going to be anywhere else. Why would I want to go somewhere else to play my video games? This is where my big TV is. What? I genuinely don't get why anyone wants to play their games on this thing, this little tiny screen. I don't get that. I mean, if you travel a lot or if you have a commute to work every day and you're not driving, like if you're in a carpool and you don't want to talk to anybody, or if you take a subway or a train or something like that, then yeah, I get that. But I know a lot of people who undock that sucker to play in their home. Like they just prefer playing it on the small screen where it runs worse and looks worse and sounds worse. Hey, if that's how you do you, do you. I don't get it. But hey, I am the odd gamer out on that one. Chaos says my Switch is docked 100%. Yeah, the only time I undock my Switch is when I'm holding it up to the camera, pretty much. I also don't play the Switch much. I have very little. I am such a man. There's just almost nothing. There are a bunch of really great games on the Switch. Do not misunderstand me. There is a plethora. I just spit on my desk. Ew. There's a plethora of wonderful, amazing, excellent games on the Switch. Full stop. Period. Here's my problem, and it may only affect me. Most of those games, a good chunk of those games, are either games I have no interest in playing, like anything that's multiplayer focused, Smash Brothers, Splatoon. Well, if we're talking specifically about the Switch, Splatoon 2, Smash Brothers Ultimate, stuff like that. ARMS, great games, utterly fantastic games. Not for me though. I'm not a multiplayer gamer. So they're either games that I'm personally not interested in, or they're games that I am interested in, but I already played them on the Wii U. you know, um, Zombie U. It's my favorite Wii U game, and it plays best on the Wii U. So there. Um, uh, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Love that game. Played it on the Wii U. Um, the Tokyo Mirage Sessions. What a lovely game. Dumb ass censorship. Really dumb censorship. Dumb, dumb, dumb. Nintendo, very dumb. But a great game and a lot of fun to play, and I played it on the Wii U. I patched all that crap back into the game. So neener neener on you, Nintendo. Um, what else? There's like 10 of them. Uh, I think a Lego City Undercover was ported this way. That I played on the Wii U. I loved it. There's so many games. It's like these are all good. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, one of the best side-scrolling platformers ever. I played it on the Wii U. It's like they're great games. They're genuinely great games. I played them on the Wii U. I already played them. Or it's stuff like, Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Super Mario Maker that I have no interest in. Mario Maker not so much as a multiplayer game, but it's a game where the main idea is to make your own game, and I don't want to make my own game. I want to play the one you made that I paid for. Otherwise, you pay me to make the levels. Um, so that's kind of where I fall on the majority of Switch's library. It's either games that are kind of multiplayer focused that are not for me, or games that are genuinely great that I already played on the Wii U. And I can't really blame Nintendo because the Wii U didn't exactly set the world on fire. The Wii U is chock full of wonderful, wonderful game, wonderful 101, just kickstarting for a remaster on the Switch. Wonderful console that had a lot of wonderful games that not a lot of people got to play. So I'm genuinely glad that the Switch is getting all these wonderful Wii U games that not as many people played as they should have. But that does kind of leave me in the dust and the dark. It leaves me with very little to play. Mario Odyssey was great. Really liked Mario Odyssey. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great game that I don't I have a hard time enjoying. That's just me though. It's a genuinely great game. It just does some things that I don't like. What else do I have? Oh, the Mario and Rabbids game is pretty cool. Um, there are a couple things that came out that I want to play that I haven't gotten around to yet, like Octopath Traveler, Luigi's Mansion 3, Astral Chain, and there's some upcoming stuff. I'm curious to see what Zelda 2 does, Breath of the Wild 2 does. Travis Touchdown. No More Heroes 3, Bayonetta 3, a lot of threes. So there is some stuff on the system that I'm genuinely curious to play. There's also a bunch of really great games on the system that play better and are cheaper and have been out longer on pretty much every other platform. Like, I mean, you can play the fantastic Doom 2016 on the Switch. But why the hell would you? Because it plays so much better on every other console. Unless you really want to play it portably, then yeah, Switch. But I'm not a portable gamer, so that's not a selling point. all these games that are available on other consoles for cheaper and have been available on other consoles for a long time. Uh, it's like, well, yeah, sure, it plays worse and looks worse, but it's portable. That's not a selling point for me. So, um, and Nintendo, I think, said this week something like the Switch is going to be one of their longer um, lifespan consoles. So, oh well. It's not like there's no games on it I want to play. There are. I still want to play River City Girls, although that's not Switch exclusive. So, um, but it does look really cool. Um, yeah. But I do have a PS4, so if I find myself, I also have an entire shelf full of games that I haven't played yet. So I have enough unplayed games that I could keep myself occupied until Nintendo releases something new. So, Luigi's Mansion 3, yeah, I mentioned that. What's the one thing I'd like to see in the next Nintendo Direct? Animal Crossing's another one that is just not for me. Great game. A lot of people really like it. I don't care for it. Let's see. Nintendo Direct. Generally, generally speaking, I would like awesome games that I want to play that I can't play anywhere other than the Switch. I want Nintendo to show me games that justify the $300 or whatever it was that I shelled out from a Switch. I would like to be excited to buy a new Nintendo console. Because oh man, I was stoked to buy the N64 back when I was a teenager. I was counting the days. I was so excited to buy the GameCube. I stood in line all night for that one. The Wii I wasn't excited for. There were games I was looking forward to playing, but I wasn't excited for the console. Same thing with the Wii U. Both the Wii and the Wii U I bought like 2 or 3 weeks after they released. Um, the Switch I don't think I bought until like 8 months later or whatever. I didn't buy it until Mario Odyssey came out because I had there was literally nothing on it I wanted to play. Uh, Zelda I wanted to play, but if I wanted to play it, I could play it on my Wii U. Was it does it play better on the Switch? Marginally? I think it's a 900 resolution instead of the 720 it is on Wii U. That's about the difference. Um, Also, as far as Breath of the Wild goes, I was really waiting to see what Nintendo was doing with the DLC. That's this kind of gamer I am. If you announce a game, I'm like, ooh, game, and then you announce DLC, I go, oh, game's not done yet. Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait until you sell the whole game. Because so far as I know, Nintendo hasn't sold a Breath of the Wild Complete Edition or anything. But personally, to me, DLC is part of the game. So I look at the base price of the game plus the DLC, and that's the full price of the game. So Zelda was $60 plus $20 of DLC. It's an $80 game. I won't pay $80 for a game unless it's Ring Fit Adventure, and I'm doing it for the charity event. But so I need to factor in is the DLC something I want? And if it is, then I have to wait until the base game drops enough so that adding the DLC to it won't go over $50. That's just how I do it. Um, so generally, I just want Nintendo to show me software that I need my Switch to play that I'm really excited to play. If you want specifics, I would love to see more Bayonetta 3. I would love to see anything about Bayonetta 3. I love the Bayonetta game. So much fun. Really looking forward to seeing what that is. Would love to see more of Travis. Why do I remember the character's name but not the franchise? No More Heroes 3. Really curious to see how Metroid Prime 4 is turning out. Would really love to know if Retro Studios was doing anything between Tropical Freeze and taking over Metroid Prime 4. Um, and I'm really curious to see what they're doing with the Breath of the Wild sequel. My hope for a Breath of the Wild sequel is they fix all the stuff that I didn't like, which seems kind of unlikely because most people really loved Breath of the Wild, so they're probably not going to change too much. But I mean, seriously, if they just made Link run a little faster, that would kind of fix most of my problems with the game. Just make Link go a little bit faster, and I'd be good. Um, Chaos says odds are the next direct will show that. Aside from Breath of the Wild 2 and Animal Crossing, we don't know what they're working on. Yeah. Oh, you know what I'd like while we're wishing? I want more Rhythm Heaven. Because Rhythm Heaven is great. I would like another Punch Out game. I think Next Level did that one. God, the Punch Out on the Wii is incredible. It's so good. They should make more, and don't be afraid to make new characters. I mean, certainly bring in some old ones because Super Macho Man's hilarious, and you got to have Glass Joe. But I've told this story before. But when they first previewed the upcoming Punch Out for the Wii, they did the first circuit, which was Glass Joe, who's classic character, dating all the way back to the arcade. Von Kaiser, another classic character, maybe not as well remembered as Glass Joe or King Hippo, who was also there. And Disco Kid, who was brand new for the game. And oh my gosh, I was sold. I was like, we have these wonderful 3D interpretations of classic characters, Glass Joe and Hippo, and we have this amazing new character in Disco Kid. Oh, it's so much personality, so much fun. I can't wait to see what other new things Next Level has for us. Nothing. All of the characters in Punch Out, except Disco Kid, are returning from previous games. All of them. All of them. Granted, Donkey Kong's a secret character. Granted, the characters are so revamped, they're almost unrecognizable. Like, do you remember Aaron Ryan from Super Punch Out? Probably not. But you remember him from Punch Out in the Wii, because they actually made him a cool character. So, so I'd like to see more Rhythm Heaven, more Punch Out, and I know a lot of other people want Advanced Wars, so that too. Hi, Jordan. You are super late. I'm about to stop the podcast because I want to go eat. So, uh, in conclusion, uh, I don't know. Follow me on Twitter or something because I'm very funny. Um, and I write little mini reviews of every movie I watch. Oh, I just saw a horror short earlier this week called The Whistler? Was it The Whistler? Let me look. Where's my movies list? Yes, The Whistler. I need to look at Little Mac on the EA Knockout boxing game. Can you give me a link? Because I don't know what that means. Is is there an EA game called Knockout Boxing and there's a character who's a ripoff of Little Mac? Is that what you're saying? Because I don't know what that means otherwise. Um, what was I saying? Oh, The Whistler. Horror short, 10 or 11 minutes. It was not great. There was no whistling in it. It's kind of a Pied Piper myth. You know, gal's babysitting her not daughter, sister, younger sister, and Read me a story, older sister. Okay, younger sister. Once upon a time, there was a Pied Piper dude who gathered up 300 little kids and took them into the forest and killed them. The end. Kind of a lame story. Yeah, it is. Go to bed. So, little kid goes to bed, and then she goes to tuck her in, and she's missing, and oh no, is she outside? Oh no, look at all the kids following the Pied Piper into the woods. And then it cuts to the following morning, and the little sister wakes up in bed with dirty feet, and her sister's missing, and she's dead on a rock in the river. Okay? I mean, the production value is good. The performances were fine. I think the older sister could have done more with her character. Um, and I mean literally that. I think I sense that she's a good enough actor that she could have done more with the character and just didn't, either because she was that's how she was directed, or I don't know. So Little Mac was an unlockable character in Fight Night Round 2. That strikes me as unlikely. I I mean, was it a parody character? Because it probably was not literally Little Mac. I have a hard time believing Nintendo would go for that. Do you have a link? Um, but yeah, more Punch Out. More Punch Out is good because Punch Out is good. So yeah, I'm just rambling, so I'm gonna go. You all have a lovely week. Watch movies, play video games, eat sushi, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.